My name is Betty Christiansen, and my maiden name was Lowen, and we lived in Oklahoma. I was born on a farm out in the hilly parts of Oklahoma. Growing up, I had three brothers, Robert, Sam, and Roy. I remember during that Depression that my dad would take the team of mules and a wagon and go out and chop wood, and for $1 a day, he would work all day getting wood. So things were not easy at all during that time. And I remember Grandpa and Grandma were so thrilled to get $30 a month for old age pension. That really meant a lot to them, because they had come from Russia and hoped they'd get a lovely good life in America. But it turned out during that time it was tough, and they had to really scrape. I remember how Grandma said, "We can't make any money baking bread," during the time after the Depression, and that there were so many new methods came out for the blessed gospel to be spread around all over the world. When I was 16, and my dad says, one day at the meal, he said, "Betty, I think it's time you go away to school. For there on the farm, we just had us to talk to." And I said, "Mama, I don't know where to choose." There was one in Kansas and one in Missouri and one and then there Texas. I said, "Mom, what would you do?" And she said, "I would go to Keene and make the best of it," because she'd always wished she had taken nurse's training rather than get married. And I wanted to take nurse's training. By the way, I did attend academy and junior academy in Keene, Texas. My grades in science were terrible, but it was because my dad couldn't talk English when he came to Oklahoma. My mother couldn't talk English. And I had learned some of those languages. In the homes, we talked Low German, which is a form of Dutch. And the languages that we used has been a very good help to me all my life. I was accepted into Paradise Valley Nursing School. I went to Paradise Valley because it was during the war, 1943, and they needed nurses. So they said, "All right, we'll take her on probation." During the war time in World War II, we had to have all the windows had to be covered with a black surface something to keep out, so that the light wouldn't show out and so it didn't look like there's a building. They called it a blackout. And I remember that. I remember also that when in nursing in the class, one weekend I had to work as an operating room nurse. We did 23 major surgeries that weekend. It was a very busy time because the sailors and all the soldier people, at least the sailors, had to go through San Diego. When it comes to the story of my love life, I think nature took care of that very well and had my husband love me, because he was in the Army and had come to San Diego where I was taking nurses training. When we got to Paradise Valley in San Diego, for nurses class was just beginning, and it was October, and they said, "We're going to have a Halloween party." And so we had different things to do, bite the apple and games and stuff. And when it came time to bob in a tub for apples, they said, now, Betty, you're one, and this young man is me. And I looked at him, and he's a good-looking young man. And it was so, he said, he got over by one tub, and I got over by the other one. And they said, all right, go. And we put our faces down, and he just pushed it around the top because he doesn't like water. And I personally took my man, pushed it way down in the water and got the apple and brought it up. I said, go down in after it. I was said to him to encourage him. And that was the first experience I had with my husband. Well, I met him again. One of my classmates in nursing had known him at La Sierra. And eventually, he came to take me for a Saturday night ride, a Saturday night party. And I said, I'm sorry, I've got to work. My nursing I had to have a stinted nursing. And he was unhappy, but he said, all right, next week we're going to go out to Del Zura, which was a little town outside San Diego. That was during World War II. And then he was sent overseas. And I finished my nursing, and then we met again just at the end of my nursing. I knew if I had a relationship with a boy or a man, I would never finish my nursing. So I was glad to do that, to get through my nurse's training.